Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. The time is 7 after 8 o'clock South African time. We are crossing over to India and we are joined by Shabnam Hashmi. She is a social activist to talk to us about Islamophobia being on the rise in India. And what does that mean as India celebrates its 75th year of democracy? Assalamu alaikum to you, Shabnam. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for having you, and sorry that you had to wake up a little earlier than normal to be with us on the show this morning. Do
No, it's 11
appreciate it.
o'clock. It's 11:30 in
Oh,
India. It's not early.
all right,
Just
wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so this issue takes us right back to the days of partition when Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his party uh, felt that the Muslims should have their own independent state, and thereby we had the state of Pakistan being formed. I guess this was in collusion with the British, the colonialists. But 75 years on, when we look at Pakistan, when we look at the situation in India, we realize that that wasn't such a good idea after all. Or would I be wrong in making that statement?
well, it was an absolutely idea which created a big blunder for this country, which where we were divided into two parts. And the idea of any religious community having its own state or having its own nation, I strongly condemn that idea. I don't believe in that. I and I strongly believe in the idea on which India was formed, an idea of a plural, democratic, secular country, which and our constitution also gave us those rights of living together, of working together, of every single citizen of this country having equal status, irrespective of their religion, caste, name, or wherever they came from, the language which they spoke. So the idea of India, which is plural, which is diverse, we believe in that idea of India. At least my forefathers, my father was a freedom fighter. He spent 4 years in the British jail. And despite all the pressure to move to Pakistan, he did not, because he did not believe in a country which was formed on the basis of religion.
It's rather ironic, is it not, that as India celebrates 75 years of independence, the country's Muslims and other minorities find themselves in a situation of a siege. Would I be correct in suggesting that?
Absolutely. But I just want to add to that, that it is the Muslims, all minorities, and everyone who believes in the idea of a plural and democratic India, they're finding themselves under a siege. They can be from the majority community, the Hindus who are speaking out against what's happening in India. They are being attacked. Muslims are being attacked. Christians are being attacked, and Dalits, the lower, the so-called lower caste population of this country, they are under severe attack. The whole idea of India is under attack. The idea of a democratic secular nation is being undermined, and a new state which is called the Hindu Rashtra is the government is trying to bring in that government and the non-government actors, because this was their idea. Even when we are talking of Jinnah, when Jinnah was asking a Muslim country, there were the Hindu right wing who were also asking for a Hindu nation. Unfortunately for them, they could not succeed at that time. But now they are much more stronger. And what they want to build is actually a Hindu India. Like a Muslim Pakistan, they are trying to create a replica here and giving the same kind of logic to the majority community here, that once it becomes a Hindu nation, then all your problems are going to be solved. So that people do not talk about the rising unemployment, the price rise, the conditions in the country. There's no education, unemployment at the highest in the last 45 years, economy going down. You don't raise these questions, so it becomes very easy to keep targeting the minorities, the Muslims, the Dalits, and showing that they are the reasons for all the problems which exist in the country. It is like what was happening in Germany in 1930s. It is the same kind of narrative which is being built, so that people do not ask the real questions. They do not ask why my child is not getting good education, why so many millions of people have gone down the poverty line since the, since the COVID. Why during COVID there was no oxygen available, why there were no hospital beds available. People do not ask those questions, should not ask those questions. So it is very easy to continuously force a narrative where you have lynchings, where you have people's homes being demolished in the name of uh, somebody raising their voice against the government, and so on. I mean, if you look at anything, our our new parliament, which was resented by almost everyone in New Delhi, because they are just destroying the beauty of this city, they are destroying the environment of this city. And the new symbol which has been brought in, the lions, we have had lions as the symbol of this country, but they were very sober, they were very, when you look at them, you feel nice. Now, the new lions which have come, they are, when you look at them, you feel that they are aggressive. So, India's whole narrative of being a peaceful country, Gandhi's tradition of being non-violent, they are being replaced by extreme violent images and violent atmosphere in the country and attacks on minorities. There are a lot of things which are happening. Um, I mean, I'm sure the world knows what is happening in India. Democracy is
Absolutely. Absolutely. You speak about what's playing out currently in India is a replica of what happened in Germany in the 1930s. Sadly, we have those situations playing out in other parts of the world as well against Muslims and other minorities, Palestine being one of those, the people of the Rohingya people, the Uyghur Muslims in China. So this seems to be the trend all around the world. It seems as if there's a huge uprising against the Muslim minorities all around the world. We do hope and pray that common sense does prevail. Now, pre 2014, before the BJP came into power, you made reference to the Dalits, who are also in the firing line here. Back then, they were referred to as the untouchables. It seems as if the focus has shifted from the Dalits or the untouchables to the Muslims. We hear about all of the atrocities against the Muslim minority in India. We refer to the Muslims and minorities, but they are in quite a large number in India. So that shift is now being perpetrated upon the Muslims. Is there any way that one, as the Muslims, can band together and retaliate? Perhaps retaliate's a very strong word, because then the government would come down very, very hard on the Muslims in India. But is there a way that you could engage with government, perhaps with other opposition parties backing the Muslim cause? Is that a reality?
You see, first of all, I would like to say that uh, the attacks on Dalits have not stopped. If you know, we are talking about Islamophobia, yes, there is very strong Islamophobia, but I want to re-emphasize that anyone and everyone who is opposed to the majoritarian politics, they can be Dalits, they can be Muslims, they can be Christians, they could be Hindus, upper caste Hindus, secular Hindus, everyone is under attack. Yes, the intensity is different, the narrative is different, but there are hundreds of people who are in jails, and not all of them are Muslims, who have been picked up after 2014. If we look at the Bhima Koregaon case, if we look at many other cases after that, it is mainly these secular Hindus who are being arrested and not being released. Yes, during the anti-CA protest, a large number of Muslim activists were arrested. Muslims are under attack. Islamophobia is there, but it is not only that. Everyone who believes in a secular democratic India is under attack. Their thinking, their personal liberty is under attack, and we must understand that. Muslims are being used, they are the main targets, but it is not only them who are under attack. You asked me, is there a way? The only way is that the opposition political parties have to be more active, they have to be proactive. They are, not organized so far. They are quite weak. And that happens when fascism is taking over any country. That happens. We have seen it in Italy, we have seen it in Germany, and that is what is happening in India. But at the same time, India is not Germany. India is still very diverse, very plural. So the resistance is there. If you have heard about the farmers' resistance, which
Yes.
continued for over 1 year. So there is hope also. And Muslims have to work together with all other democratic parties. Muslims fighting for themselves is not the answer. That is, in fact, counterproductive. Muslims have to reach out, they have to participate in the farmers' struggle, they have to participate in the women's struggles, they have to participate with the opposition political parties. And if they think that they can form their own political parties and win this battle, that is not going to happen. That is only counterproductive. That is feeding into the narrative of Hindu versus Muslim. The moment you start, I mean, if you are forming a Muslim party and you say that a Muslim needs a Muslim leader, then their argument is also correct. They are forming Hindu parties and we form Muslim parties. That is not the answer. When Muslims stayed back in India, they stayed back because we had Gandhi as our leader, we had Nehru as our leader. We did not stay back here. Our forefathers did not stay back in India to have another Muslim party here. Those who believed in Muslims having a Muslim party and a Muslim nation, they either moved to Pakistan or they were living there. They followed Jinnah. The Muslims in India did not, because Muslims in India who stayed back, they believed in a secular democratic country and the Indian constitution. They respected the Indian constitution. They believed in the Indian constitution, which is far more stronger than any other law which exists. So I don't think finding Muslim leaders is the solution. The only solution is being part of every democratic secular struggle which is challenging this hegemony, which is challenging the majoritarian politics, which is challenging the extreme right wing agenda in this country.
Okay, I also understand that for the first time in India's history, its governing party does not have a single Muslim parliamentarian. If Hindu Rashtra means assigning second class status to Muslims, then India has practically already become one. Now it's just a question of making it official. Do you agree? And even if they don't do it, the change has already taken place. So, your thoughts
Yes,
on that statement?
yes, I absolutely agree. In today's India, the minorities, both Muslims and Christians, and to some extent other minorities also, as well as Dalits, they are almost as second class citizens. I won't say that everyone, because Muslims are also very diverse. It is not a monolithic, formation. There are all kinds of Muslims. Some are in better position, but majority of the Christians, especially in rural areas, they are not treated as equal citizens in this country. That is uh, very much, a right statement. And so are the Dalits. Dalits were never treated as secular, as equal citizens. In today's India, they are not treated as equal citizens. In fact, their conditions in terms of others treating them is worse in many questions, in many areas. How they are treated is worse than how Muslims are treated in many places. I'm not saying everywhere. There is an attack, all round attack on Muslims, and this is not from today. If we go back to the forefathers of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS, which is the umbrella organization of all the Hindu right wing organizations, if we go and read what they have written, even in the We and Our Nationhood Defined, there's a book called that, and they clearly write that Muslims cannot be equal citizens in India. It is clearly written by Golwalkar, who was one of the founders of the RSS, that Muslims will remain second class citizens in this country like younger brothers. That is how he writes. and he has quoted from Germany extensively, and he has praised Hitler and what was happening in Germany, and he has also written how in India we should follow this. So, ideology wise, it has been very clear from the very beginning. Before 2014, they were not in a position to implement a lot of their ideas. Now that they came with full force, they are implementing a lot of those ideas.
You keep making references to Germany, Nazi Germany. And I've also noticed in lots of footage that I have been seeing is that the BJ party seems to have, I'm sure it is the BJP party, the swastika as their emblem. What does that signify? That's my first question. And then a question from a listener, Sakumzi Mtombeni. Thank you for your question this morning. Wa alaikum assalam to you. He asks, is it true that Muslims are not allowed to slaughter cows in India? Once they slaughter, this leads to Muslims being arrested. So, two questions to you, dear sister.
Well, swastika, as in India, is actually not taken from Germany. It is part of one of the Hindu symbols. So that is not the same swastika. In fact, the direction is also not the same if you look at it. In India, cow slaughter is banned. It is not only that Muslims are not allowed; nobody is allowed. In except a few states, in Kerala it is allowed, and I think in Goa. In most of the states, cow is considered holy, and the slaughter is banned for everyone. But in the name of cow slaughter, even when Muslims are taking cows for, I mean, a lot of people do dairy and they take milk and sell milk. So there are organized gangs who would attack uh, the Muslims and lynch them. There have been lynchings in India, over 100 lynchings, if I'm not mistaken, in the name of cow slaughter, where the actual picture was not slaughtering of the cows, but taking the cows, or they had bought cows for uh, for dairy work, because they work in milk and dairy.
So, what happens to these cows, cattle farmers? Obviously, then it's not a lucrative business for them if they go into cattle farming, because if cows are not, allowed to be slaughtered, does the government just allow them to have a natural death and then, they buried or whatever because Hindus see cows as being sacred? um, how does one kind of almost justify that ruling as far as Hinduism is concerned?
Well, they keep loitering around. There have been a lot of protests from the farmers because uh, cows get into they destroy the crop. All that is happening. So far, I would say there is no solution to this. Yes, most of them die their natural death, and there is a lot of export from India that I'm not very sure if it is cow or if it is buffalo, but that happens from India. But within India, except for Kerala, where it is not banned, and Goa, I think it is not banned. There are a number of states where it is not banned, but otherwise, it's a huge issue and a very sentimental issue. So touching that becomes quite a big problem.
Okay, my final questions to you to tie in with another message by a listener, and that's you again, Sakumzi Mtombeni. Thank you so much for becoming a part of the conversation. Sakumzi is making a statement which reads as follows: that shows that Muslims have a long way to go in terms of fighting for their rights. That's the one part of the statement. And then I will end off by asking this question to you. Obviously, elections are looming. What are the thoughts? Do you believe that this crackdown, this hardline crackdown by the BJP, is because of elections and they want a win again? And what's the situation of the Congress party that ruled for such a long time in the past?
Well, you see, elections are looming, and I would say that elections for many, many years have not been very, according to my understanding and reading, they have not been fair. Uh, the EVMs are there, and EVMs can be manipulated. And according to my knowledge, EVMs have been manipulated, and they will be manipulated in future. That is one part of it. Second part is that the most of the Indians, I won't say that uh, it is the, if we say, the national consciousness of this country was always either the centrist or slightly left of the center. People believed in secularism, in democracy, in respecting each other, in pluralism. That has over the past 2-3 decades changed. There are a lot of people who now believe in majoritarianism. I won't say a very big percentage, but if earlier it was 5%, today it is definitely 20-30% or more, which believes in majoritarianism, which is supporting Modi. So, on one hand, a lot more people are supporting Modi, and on the other hand, wherever they feel that they are losing, there are ways of manipulating elections, and they have been manipulating. Congress is trying, but I don't think Congress right now is in a position to fight back as much as it is required. And Congress is not present everywhere. There are other regional parties, some of them good, some of them strong, some of them not. Um, when communalization takes place, when fascism is taking over, it affects everyone. It affects the cadre of the secular political parties also. So one doesn't see the kind of conviction which is required in political parties to fight back. That is missing. Missing, maybe not missing in what they speak, but missing in action. And unless the opposition political parties come together and fight together against the fascist forces, it is going to be very difficult. As it looks now, I think 2024, this government is coming back. And if they come back, then whatever spaces are left, whatever little spaces are left, and the part of the constitution which is still there for us to allow us to speak, probably we'll lose that also, because they are already working on an alternate constitution which will throw away the secular constitution if that happens. Um, this is not to say that there is no resistance. This is not to say that there is no hope. People are fighting. They will continue to fight, and hopefully things would be better. We can only hope. There is no,
Absolutely.
yeah, there is
Absolutely.
on the
But
ground there isn't much. Mm, no, indication is not there, but the resistance is there. If the resistance from all corners of India comes together, then probably we can safeguard the Indian constitution and democracy.
we hope and pray that the resistance does come together to turn the tide, because the situation at the moment is so dire. And if the BJP does win the elections in 2024, I can't even begin to imagine how bad the situation then will be. So our thoughts and duas with you. Thank you for being with us on the show this morning. Shabnam
Thank you.
Hashmi, who is a social activist based in India. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Thank you. Walaikum assalam.
8:31 News and Views right here on Salam Media. Please stay with us. Next online, we're going to cross over to Gaza.